Hi, everyone. This is Nancy with Relationships of the Heart. We're finally back up and running on our podcast. We took a break over the holiday, and I decided starting in January we would begin interviewing other people out there that are leaders, whether it may be a leader in a church, a leader of a nonprofit, or someone that is a leader of a company in a business, or maybe they are a leader or supervisor in a company where they're not the main lead, but they're underneath. So it's what we're focusing on at Relationships of the Heart is leadership. And so today we have Irene Marz with us. In just a moment I'm going to introduce her, and we're just going to chat about what she does. I'm going to let her share the name of her company and what's going on. And so we're just having a real relaxed show here. Once we finish this today, wherever you are listening to us, maybe you're finding us out there on Facebook or on YouTube or on my TalkShoe podcast show or SoundCloud or wherever we place you, I hope there's something that we share today, even if it is one word, one sentence, or maybe it's everything that we share, that it will help you in your leadership, because I am a firm believer that whether someone is a pastor or you lead something like what I lead at the Relationship of the Heart organization, or whether you own a business, I believe in the Christian community that we can all learn from one another, but also we can learn from one another if our beliefs are different. So although I am a Christian, and many of my guests that I bring on are Christians, if you're listening to this and you are not someone that have received Jesus Christ and you believe in a different way, you may still be able to pick something up from us here, because we're all about leadership. And mainly is what I'm focusing on today is building a team. But in the future, we will also be bringing other people on. For instance, I have a gentleman I just connected with within, I think it was in 2018, and we began to talk about what he leads as in the area of ministry, and I found it to be very unique because he is part of an organization. It's a truckers organization. It's an association. So we'll be bringing him in. And so I felt that I wanted to bring Irene on because I feel she has a really unique way, as I've read some of her posts online and in different areas and kind of followed her and connected with her, that she does a great job in building a team. So I'd like to welcome you, Irene, to Relationships of the Heart. And how about you start out and share the name of your company and what exactly your company is about. What do you do?
Thank you, Nancy. Thank you for having me on your talk today. The name of my company is Healthful Oils, and I'm part of the Young Living Essential Oil Company. I've been with this company almost 13 years now, and it's just been an amazing ride as far as being a product user and also as being a business developer and leader.
Now, why did you said how many years have you been in this?
It'll be 13 years, March 15th.
Wow, so it must be something that you really love to be staying and hanging in there as a leader for 13 years. So why did you start 13 years ago? How did you get started? Why did you start? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, that's really interesting because I learned about the company through a friend, as someone who just cared about me, to call me on the phone. That's how we did things in those days, and say, what are you doing for your family's health and wellness? And is anyone in your family in need of health support right now? And it's like, who doesn't have a body that needs some support, right? So that is how we started, and she asked if I'd like a wholesale membership, and she really listened to my needs, and that impressed me that she really cared about me to tell me. And that is when I became a member. And from there, I just learned through class education and watching my mentor and listening to her using the products. And it's like, I really want to do this too. I care about people, and I would love to share what these essential oil products are doing for me. And that's when I decided to, build my dream. I didn't know back then it was my dream. My husband actually gave me the blessing and said, anything that you can do to help us out financially right now would be wonderful. It was the time of the 2006 to 2008 economy crash, and he was in construction. And he just said, I totally support you in this. And the reason why I chose this company specifically, because I'd been with other companies along my life's journey, is that they were very God-honoring, and I really felt that plant-based therapies and products was more in line with what God wanted for us and the health of our family.
As I was listening to you, I just wrote down just a few points here that really stood out to me, and is what I love this, because in other podcasts and different times I've spoken on, whether it's Facebook Live or in other areas or face-to-face with someone, I will ask them, what is your dream? And I'm a dreamer, so there's always something there. But many times there's someone that said, well, I don't have a dream. But here's me. It's like, what do you mean you don't have a dream? What if you could do anything and it doesn't cost, money doesn't matter. What would you like to do? And it's like, I don't have a dream. But then, just like what you said, you didn't realize that this was your dream, but you stepped into it. And from as I look at what you're doing now, that's why we're talking about building a team today. You just took a chance, not knowing, and it sounds like you loved the product, and you had your husband's blessing, and so that was encouraging. You were able to help out your family, and I wrote this one down, the word God-honoring, that it's a God-honoring company. And I just think that's wonderful, because this is why on our podcast we're heading into the business side, not just leaders in churches, but leaders in other areas. That's why I believe they're all important, and that God calls us, each of us, to something. Sometimes it's something specific. Sometime I met someone the other day, and he was talking about all the different things, and he's getting older now, and all the different things he's done in his life, but yet they were correct. It wasn't just the one to stick with, like what I have now, but God used all of those things. So it's what I'm thinking, and if I'm incorrect, correct me, but it's like God placed you in this exactly in that season of your life. And I'm guessing, were your children younger at that time?
Oh, yes, they were younger. I think they were, our kids are all almost 8 years apart. So I believe they were like 8 and 17 at the time. And then our daughter was already in college and out of the home. So we had, I had to have a lot of support from my husband to be there when I would go out and do workshops and go to classes to learn for the benefit of the whole family. And that was just wonderful, just great.
So that worked well. I've kind of been on both sides of the coin too. I've worked out of the home, but then I also had my company when I was in the home, and I love the aspect, even though my kids are grown with what I do, that I can sit in my office today and I can talk to you. And we can share with other people. Yes, or when your children were young, I'm guessing you were able to work around their schedule.
I sure was able to, and I incorporated them into it. They put stickers on, my label stickers on things, and they told people, you really need to use this oil. This is what my mom uses for me. And it was just so cute. And they were like my little cheerleaders. And to this day, they love the essential oils and use them as well and have their own accounts. But I want to get back to a moment on me not knowing what my dream was.
Okay, sure.
You know, the thing is that a lot of times, let's just take women, for example, Christian women, we, you know, some of us that are married, that we have that umbrella of protection that our husband is the provider and then, you know, the wife and the kids. And it's like sometimes our dreams get lost because we're so involved in their life and their health and the meals and the you know, giving them if I homeschooled, so that education and lessons, and there wasn't time for me. But I married a dreamer and a visionary, and really he was the wind beneath my wings. So even if you're not married and you find someone that is the wind beneath your wings that will lock arms with you and say, I'm going to do this with you. I would love to do this with you. Let's do this together. So if you're not a big dreamer, that's okay. You can learn to dream. You can learn. I did.
You know, that is awesome because very, very seldom, maybe it's just my ears, but we hear from those people that, you know, that, yep, I have that dream, I'm going for it. But to hear from people like you to say, at the beginning you didn't see that, but you walked into that, and yours was your husband, locked arms with you on this. And that's something I didn't add here that I wanted to talk about. So I'm going to try and I'm going to make a little note here so I can go back to this, because I know your husband, I've seen some things online, is like fully involved in, well, I won't say what that is right now. I'll let you share that a little later. So let's take a big jump here into this question that I had for you. How do you build your team from starting with no team members? So I think this is the biggest one. If it's, I listen to people, whether they are a church planter, you know, God calls them to start this church, and someone says, well, who are your people? Well, I don't have anybody. So you start from nothing. Or the business, someone they have that business dream, or they started the business. It's like, okay, but it starts growing. Now I need a team. So how did you start? Technically, if I understand, when you made that decision to come on board, at that time, you did not have any team members that you brought in. Is that correct? That's
correct, yes. And, you know, I want to encourage everyone out there that your people are out there. And those people that say, me too, they are out there. And so what I did was, because of the love for my product, the first thing I did was have a workshop, and my mentor came and did that workshop for me because I didn't know what I was doing or what was expected or anything, really. So she came and did my first workshop, and she was my role model. And then I enrolled members at that workshop, which became my first team members, educated them in the usage of the product, and empowered them to use these products in their daily life, and to empower and encourage them to have their workshops in which I learned to do that. So I became a duplicatable model. Educate, enroll, empower. Educate, enroll, empower. Just wash, rinse, repeat.
Wow, I just love that, because what you're doing is bringing this down to simple terms, so anyone listening to us as we chat can understand. And it's what I'm hearing you saying is, first of all, someone came alongside of you and taught you, and you learned by watching them. But it wasn't like weeks later. It was immediately that you had someone else, and then you came alongside of them and lifted them up. And what were the three terms that you used again? I like that, the empower.
Enroll, educate, and empower.
Okay, and so you have found what works. Your company, I'm guessing, has found what works, so that's how they teach
yes.
you. And you just continue to repeat. And there was something else you said about that was it this way? I'm probably going to summarize a little bit in my own lingo here, that your people are out there, meaning as a leader, that we don't see them, but they are out there.
Yes.
And would you say this? Sometime has that person that's become part of your team been the person? It didn't enter your mind. It wasn't like, oh well, not them, but it was just some people you just didn't think of, and they became your best team members.
Yes.
They're the people
definitely.
that surprise us.
I have members that have been with me from day one or the first day they enrolled. One of my members we use the term fire our boss when we make enough residual income to be able to stay at home and do our business our way. And so she was a homeschool mom. She came to my first workshop, which was at a homeschool environment. The moms just were sitting around. We might as well have a little class or education for them, right? So I had my friend come and do the workshop, and 4 women enrolled that day, and that one. Again, I still wasn't sure about my dream yet, but my friend knew about her dream, and she says, well, I'm going to do this. Are you going to do this? And it was almost like positive peer pressure to say at that moment, do I do this or do I let my friend go with my mentor? No, I think I better do this. And
so we have a choice, a choice to make each individual. So sometimes I think as we're talking about building a team and leaders here, you are. I remember sharing this with you about what I saw when I first started connecting with you again after many years, that you are equipping and training leaders, and at the relationship of the heart, that's what we do. We equip and train leaders, and that's why I saw that right away, that's what you are doing. It's like for me, I have partners that have been with me. I was going through my list not long ago, and I went on my first trip out of the country. I hate to say the year because that says how old I am, but back in, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it was either 95 or 96. I went to the Ukraine, and I went with a team of 60 people. I had never been on a plane. I had never done anything like this in my entire life. And I went with 60 people to the Ukraine, and I taught small groups. But it's what they did, just as what you're sharing with that first workshop, that someone came in and did it for you. They showed me exactly what I needed to do. They gave me the material, and I remember being in a country I don't know and saying, I don't know how to do this. They said, yes, you do. Just do what we gave you to do. This works. And I was with the Jesus film, the Jesus Project. Yes. But I learned from being with the people. Some were a little ways ahead of me, and some were they had a lot of experience. But from that, and this is where I'm headed with some of my partners today, as I looked through this list not long ago, some of the people, just as you have said, that are with you, it looks a little bit different because we both do 2 different things, but they have been with me since I began that first trip. What I'm doing now didn't even exist. I call it did, but it didn't, because I was with people and I was equipping and training, but it was someone else's. And I still use today, without realizing it, much of what I learned long ago when I went to the Ukraine. And so I get excited when I hear someone also that has had people with them for a long time. And I don't know about you, But sometimes as leaders, we also we can become discouraged. We get tired like everyone else.
Yes.
But we're dealing with people all the time. We love what we do, but sometimes I will think, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. And then lately, it enters my mind this way, and I believe this is God trying to remind me. But Nancy, look at these people. Don't look at the ones that have left you. Say for you, the ones that just weren't interested at all. Don't look at those. What about these people that have been with you for years? They would not be there if they didn't believe in you.
Yes.
And also believe in what they were doing. So what about joys for you personally as a leader? What joys do you find in leading your team? If I'm using the correct words, maybe it's a different word than
that's
team.
That's great. Yep, team. We call it team downline. On Facebook, we might call it community or tribe. It's all the same. I love watching people go from members to business builders to leaders. That is pretty awesome to watch the development of people. The number one thing, joy, is building relationships and making that connection with someone that says, I care about you, I care about your life. So I've made many lifelong friends through that. And I love watching their journey that is unique to them. No one builds their business exactly the same way because everyone has their own story. And people are drawn to them because of their story. So we've built a community culture that is caring and sharing of information and ideas for healthy living for ourselves and our families. And that brings me joy that other leaders have joined me so that it's not all on me. I have a whole team of leaders that can do this. And we have the ability to do greater things as a team. We chose a charity this last year to support an adoptive and foster care nonprofit, supporting essential oils that really helps the family and the children that come in that are in a state of trauma. These oils help with that. We do events like rallies and ladies' days out. So these kind of things bring me joy because I see the team coming together for a greater purpose, things that I could not do on my own.
You know, as I'm listening to you, one thing that stood out here is the development of people. And, of course, that jumped out to me because when I talk about equipping and training, that's what my heart is also with leaders. I am excited. They say teachers get like this when they get it, when they grab it, when they understand it. And that's not the same thing as, I'm trying to sell them on what I'm doing. We're excited. I have found, whether I am in Kenya, because that's the area I work in right now, or I am here. If I'm standing up in front of a group, and they're all different sizes, but if the group is larger and I break them into small groups and I throw a question out there, my excitement is listening to them when they report. I don't give them the answer. What they report, what they feel, this is the way we should do it. Because like you, there was something else you said, it was prior to this, that, everyone's, I'll call it business, is different. The product's the same, I'll add this, but theirs may not look like yours looks like. And that's where I had with relationships of the heart, and that's why I've started doing interviews so people can hear. You are an equipper and trainer too. You're a developer of people, and which means you also love people. And it's what I'm hearing. This word keeps coming to my mind, but you're not developing cookie-cutter leaders.
Right.
That's not part of your vocabulary. I'm sure, just like with what I do, there are some things that this is the way, this is the procedure. Maybe there's paperwork you have to fill out, right? Everything has paperwork. And this has to be filled out this way. But there's other aspects that we're not in that cookie cutter. We're not in a box. And I think in today's world, that's what people are gravitating towards, so they can think through, what do I want this to be? Whether they know this is their dream or they're working through it. And I really love the idea that you have taken this a step further with your team as helping others, as donating to others. And I think that is what helps us to, I know I am speaking to myself here, not you. If I'm at my desk all the time and I'm working on this, even though I'm with people, I can become very self-focused. And, I have a friend to remind me, Nancy, there's more people out here than you. And especially because I'm very project-oriented, and as what I'm thinking here is, as you have your eyes on helping and through another nonprofit and how you explained it, that brings you together as a team, but it's taking your eyes onto other people in need.
Yes, that's for sure.
That may not be exactly. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and I love walking people through their why and working toward their vision, making a vision board, because some people just don't see it in their mind, but when they get it out on a board, just a poster board, cutting out the pictures, the words, the scripture verses, everything that they're claiming on their life, it becomes very powerful. I have mine on my wall that I look at often, and it's a powerful thing.
And I know by listening to you, like I have one corner in my office. There's nothing there right now, but I want to get up when I'm done, and for 2019 do another one. It's what I use is a big piece of white paper on the back of my door, and I take a marker, and I'm a visual person also, and so I just start writing. And I really believe that that helps. Now I'm going to change gears here a little bit, because I don't like to get negative, but we do need to, I believe, as leaders, we need to look at that side also, because I'm sure as people come in, there are also times, and yourself also, that you may go through struggles as a leader. Can you think of any struggles for you as a leader of your team?
Oh, there are plenty of struggles. This is opportunity for growth and prayer. So what you find is that not everyone is teachable or coachable, or will they have the same passion and drive that you do? They will do the work, but they don't put it into action, which can be frustrating for the amount of maybe training that I input in for the output out, if you understand what I mean.
Yes.
And developing the right listening skills so that I really hear their heart and what they want, and not what I want for them, but what they want for themselves and what they're willing to do and not do. Listening is a very important skill. And I've learned that when people, let's say they're into the business maybe for a year or two, and they just say one day, you know what, I'm going to work on my other hustle right now, and I'm just going to table this for a while. I ask them a few coachable questions to bring them back to their why and their vision, but also I try not to I take it too personally. I still work on that because I'm such a people and relational person. I study the color personalities, and I'm the one that, I just thrive on connection. And when someone wants to disconnect and cut me off, I have to work very hard in my heart not to take that as a personal rejection. So that is, one thing. And then reaching across the generations to all needs, that's what the beauty of a team. we have products for babies. We have products for pets. I don't have pets. And I don't have babies anymore. And so anyway, just to have a team and leaders in place that can address other product users that have those needs, to be able to say, hey, can you just teach on this? Can you just teach on that? It's a beautiful thing. So that's great.
Something there's a word that I hear you say, and I believe this as leaders, and I've written about this and I've talked about this, but you have used the word, I learned. I learned this, which means even in the struggles, and I've done the same thing, we walk through it. Like I can recall, this was quite a few years ago, I met someone, I had this group of women, and I can't remember, I think it may have been about 6. And 2 of them knew each other, but the others didn't, but they all knew me. So I brought them together, and we were going through this healthy leader teaching. And I was very frustrated because I had one in my group, I didn't know her very long, and her I thought as the woman that was just on fire, and I really saw something in her, but she only wanted a little bit of it. She didn't, it doesn't mean she was wrong, but at that time I will be honest, I became very pushy. And because that isn't what she wanted. You used the word listening. Okay, that
right.
And I wasn't listening. And I recall one time she looked at me and she said, "You're not listening to me." And I like, "Yes, I am." And she said, "No, you're not. I'm not interested in that part." And I just saw her as just a fantastic teacher, but she wasn't ready for that yet. She wanted to lead the part for us that was prayer. And I saw her as this upfront person. So no. And I think as leaders, that's what, yes. And to learn, you use that word, to listen. So I learned from that, I needed to listen. What I wanted for her was not necessarily where she was at. And as leaders, even with you do here and many leaders, it may be different in some different companies because all companies, for instance, I was a sales rep for years, so my leading there was different. I really didn't have any authority, but I did on the road with my customers. And so that was a little bit different than what we're talking about here. It was like having authority, more influence than authority. And so it's what I've learned through this leadership with this woman in particular. And I felt she was fantastic. I'm hoping she's still found something to sink her teeth into today. That was quite a few years ago. I guess the words I want to use is to meet that person where they're at. As a sales rep, I sold office supplies and office furniture. I needed to come in and, especially furniture, not what I want to sell them, what is their need. So I'm thinking as we are leading and building teams, our people aren't products, of course, but where are they at with their life at that moment, and is their time, right? So I know this isn't something we discussed prior to setting this up, but do you try and be sensitive to like how much time, say someone comes on your team and they start as a member and they move up, to be sensitive like to their schedule, how much time do they have?
That's correct. I definitely do. Time management is really important so that they can feel like they're successful at this. They have to set realistic expectations. So what I have them do is take the weekly calendar or a monthly calendar, and I break it down by hour. Do you work? Okay, put in your work hours. What other things do you do? Do you go to an exercise class? Do you take your kids to classes or appointments? Put all those in. Time, what are your priorities? Church, your prayer time, put that in. Your faith, your family, time with friends, because you need to keep your relationships in balance. And then what time do you have left for a business? Do you have an hour? Do you have 20 minutes? Well, we can get a lot done in 20 minutes a day as long as you're consistent every single day. Consistency is more important than the amount of time.
Now that really speaks what you just shared with me, because I know that the time, I just shared something this morning on a Facebook Live. I do this little thing for our leadership group online, and that's not real consistent because I'm in different time zones, so I kind of see who's there and grab the time. But I take my little phone, and it's coffee time. I'm literally making my coffee. They don't see me. They see the coffee pot. And one of the things I said this morning was when we add something, our schedule is already full. No matter what language we speak, what country we're in, there's something we're equal on. Each one of us only has 24 hours a day. And if it's already full, we need to, something needs to be removed then, and that's okay if you want to add this. And a few years ago, someone said that to me, and it has stuck, probably because I really need it. I like to say yes all the time. I've broken myself with that, because then I have to go back and go, I made a mistake, humble myself, and say, I really shouldn't have said yes. But I love the idea of the calendar, how you break that down. That sounds like that is something we could use across the board in our households and anywhere in life, because we can see it.
Yes.
Is that the point of that also?
In our house. Yep, we have a board in our house. It's actually a glass shower door. Glass is really friendly to these dry erase markers. And we just like the way it looks, and we purchased a calendar grid online, a vinyl calendar grid, and we just change it every day. We put in our appointments, and that way my husband knows what I'm doing. He knows, I know what he's doing, and all our reminders are up there. And so I really believe in a central system where communication is key within the family members of what's going on. And for you to know,
that is, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yep, and just for you to know what time frames you have left to do what you really want to do, work on your future goals and so forth.
So do you add something, I'm just curious about this because I've heard people do this. I used to have to do this. I don't anymore. I make sure I take the time. But do you place, in your calendar like rest time, downtime? We're not going to work. We're not working today, because as technically we're self-employed, right? So we set our own hours, and that can be a plus, but sometimes that can be a negative, because I love what I do, and if it wasn't for my friends, I'd be in trouble. They'll call me and say, hey, Nancy, I'm coming to get you. We're going to XYZ. Do you incorporate that into your own calendar for yourself?
Absolutely. I try to, it's kind of hit and miss, but I try to get my most important things done first thing in the morning, any phone calls, social media posting, and all of this, and then, just have time for my husband at night. That's very important. And then we have decided on, as we have gotten more time freedom and we're almost empty nesters, we not only take days off, we are taking a month off.
Oh, wow. That's right. That's why I had to grab you now, right?
Yeah. That's right, because we are getting ready to get on the move. And so we will be, and not really off. I will be doing daily posts or live videos, but then it's off. It's off for the day until the next day's posting. And it's only to give people a glimpse and a dream of what their future might look like. And it's just for the fun of it. We love doing it. And we usually take a winter trip and then a summer trip. And we definitely, it's great. My mom is aging, and I know that I need to take every bit of independent time that I can right now, because there'll be a time where I'll be her personal caregiver, and I won't have the flexibility to travel. So we're taking the time right now while she is healthy, and we're in that sandwich era where our youngest just graduated from college and is getting ready to move out in March, and my mom is 86. So
you know, it's what you're doing also. This is what as I'm listening to you as a leader, because we're talking about leaders today. But as you travel and you post, because I've followed you myself, and I love your photos, by the way. But also knowing, okay, she is all of the photos aren't there. You know, someone will tell me, well, why don't you post more? It's like, no, I'm taking a break. We're setting, and you are setting an example for your team. And how it depends on what's going on in our life and the season of our life, what you just shared about your life, how long those breaks can be and what they look like for each one of us. But at least you are setting, the word standard comes to my mind. You are setting a standard as a leader that this is what we do. That this is where we're at. And I think also with social media, because we're using it for this. That's how people are listening to us. That social media, the internet, the web, it does not close down. It runs 24/7. And we need to set a schedule and to take a break. So I have one last question for you, and then is what I'd like to do. I'll have you share your contact information, your company name again, and how people can get in touch with you. So Irene, what are your future goals? Do you have any future goals where you're at right now with your life? Because you've been with us for a long time, but us goal setters always still have something in there, kind of in the back of our mind. Do you have any future goals right now?
Absolutely. My future goal is to continue to build and create future leaders all the way to the top of the company, because I am that personal relationship person. When I help other people be successful, I am successful, because that just moves me up the ladder. And I don't do it for that reason. I do it because of the joy that it brings to them, the financial freedom that it brings to them. And I will add that Young Living has enabled us to be totally debt-free. And we've just been having fun. We've been through those struggling years like many of you listeners have been, so we've had those years of struggle. Anything worth having is worth working toward. And so you have to work at it. It's not always easy, but you have to work it. And we definitely have travel on our mind. As I said, we're almost empty nesters. We would love to travel more, the USA and Europe. Our son has been to Germany 3 times, and we've been to Canada a couple times. That's about it.
Oh, wow.
And so Young Living has given us that freedom through the residual income and leaving a legacy. You know, that Irene of Healthful Oils cared about my wellness, purpose, and abundance, and I'm so glad I knew her. Just leaving a legacy of health and wellness behind me, that all these people chose this product line over and over the counter, or whatever harm they might do to their body through other things, that I gave them the education, the tools, the products, and the resources for them to make a full lifestyle change. That's huge to me.
Well, I think that those are wonderful goals. In fact, as I'm listening to you, it's like things in my mind are going off. It's like, no, you need to sit down and do that. You need to sit down and do that. And I think we need to, what you're just talking about, at one time, occasionally in our life, different seasons for different people, but we need to revisit those areas of goals. And especially I like where you use the word legacy. You know, I think we can also, we don't have to be our age, we can be younger, and ask ourselves that question: what do I desire to leave behind? Irene, you have just shared a whole lot of information with us, and is what I really agree as I'm listening to you when you said about relationships, and that's what you thrive on. I believe that's how you have built this team, just by listening to you. You have built relationships with people. All of a sudden, you didn't have 25, 30, 40, how many ever people. You built those relationships from the beginning with the person that brought you in and did your workshop, and you watched, and then you had another person and another and another person. And I think that's what makes this look, building this type of team, as doable. Because too many times we say, okay, we can set a goal, right? I can say I would like, for instance, if I'm doing a workshop, I would like 12 women to attend, and I invite, over 12, but then I have 12 women that attend, but they're all at different times in their lives. They may be at different ages, but we're still building relationships. And too many times it's good to have big goals. I'm a big goal dreamer person. But then I had to learn to go back, okay, but this is where I'm at now. I need to start here, and I need some incremental goals in between. That if I bring 12 women in, and it's what I love to see them do, and I don't monitor it, so mine's different in that aspect. But my heart is what they learn, that they use it. And within that 12, there could be 6. They listened, they had fun, but they walked out the door, and that's all they're interested in, and that's okay.
Yes.
That's okay. So I feel you have given just a whole lot of information to us today, but not just information, but you've spoken a lot about relationships. So I want to thank you. I know you're very busy right now. Well, you're always very busy, correct?
Yes.
Yes, I want to thank you for taking the time. And is what I'm going to try to do. If anyone's listening to this later, I'm going to try to do up something with some bullet points from this, and I'll make sure you get a copy also. And that I'll have this shared maybe in a PDF with people to go along with the recording that they're listening to. So thanks again, Irene. And I'm thinking, I don't know when. I know you're heading out soon, but I won't even guess a date right now. But maybe someday I'd like to do a series on organizing and schedule. So as I'm listening to you, I know everything that you shared here today requires commitment and to be organized. And I heard you talk about calendars and times and schedules, but that's something we can talk about at a later date. So, hey, thanks again. And is what I'd like you to do one more time before I let you go is share your contact information once again, how people can get in touch with you.
They can get in touch with me on Facebook. My business page is Healthful Oils, Young Living Independent Distributor. Also, my personal page, Irene Marz. On Instagram, it's at Irene Marz, YL. My last name is spelled M-A-R-Z. I'm not the planet, so it's M-A-R-Z-Y-L. And then email healthfuloils@gmail.com.
Well, thank you so much, Irene, and we'll connect with you again, and just enjoy your evening.
Thank you. It was an honor to be here today, Nancy. Good night.
So that was Irene Marz with us talking about essential oils, and I just really enjoyed chatting with her today. I hope as you listened to this that maybe you'll just listen to it as you're going along and think, man, I need to go back to the beginning and listen to this again, because I know myself, I'm going back not to hear my words, but to hear Irene and what she shared with us. She touched on so many points as building a team. She shared with us about her life and how she got started and building a dream when we don't realize we have this dream, and how everything was just step by step, and that her heart is to develop people, and that's what we're about here at the Relationships of the Heart within our conferences and our workshops and anything we do online. We are about, of course, relationships, and all relationships look different. But in this series, Irene's our first one that we brought on for our series here, we are looking at leaders who build leaders. And this is just a great place to start because we are about relationships. So I just have a couple things I'd like to share with you. To get in touch with me, you can email me at nancy@relationshipswithnancy.com. If you have any questions about what you listened to today, or you have read something out there, whether it's on my blog or my website or social media, that's the best place to get in touch with me. Also, I still have available my book, A Hurting Heart Turned Inside Out. It's been available for quite a while on paperback, but now also just a couple weeks ago, I brought it up on Kindle on Amazon. So to find the book, simply go to Amazon.com, place my name, Nancy Watta, W-A-T-T-A, in the search bar, and it'll bring it up quicker if you place the title, A Hurting Heart Turned Inside Out. And hey, I have a really big goal that I'm going to be announcing on February 1st. But in the meantime, check out my book. We've got another book coming out. It's more a rewrite, a revised version of quotes from the Heart for Women Leaders. So thank you for checking in with me. Thank you for listening to me wherever you're at. And remember, if you have any questions or you have any comments, if you're listening to this on social media or whatever page where you find this, you can comment there if the media has an area for comments, or you can always email me. So I love to hear from you because we learn best together.